it's like a piece. Coming equipped with some shit niggas just can't believe. I pull a trick from my sleeve, look I'm a Kasi, I'm all over that nigga. Come identify the body. My middle finger to you, homie.
Hi guys, you're back with Juzzie, and this is my TweakedGSX. Hope you're enjoying the build so far on my 2022 Suzuki GSX-S750. In the videos today, I've installed a carbon seat cowl, rear tail tidy, Kojima aftermarket LED set, relay, LED headlight bulb and T10 bulbs, Kojima front indicator set, and a carbon surround. I've also done the frame sliders for the bike, and now I'm looking to do an aesthetic mod, or two mods today, which are the installation of a Motozaaa front visor, which includes the smoked visor, the visor mount and appropriate hardware. And later in the video I'm going to be installing the Fenrir mirrors, which mount into the stock location so we can get rid of these very tall and ugly stock mirrors. So the first thing that we're going to do to install this visor to this bike is we're going to use an M4 Allen head to remove this bolt from here and on this side. So I've already taken one out. Once you remove those two, just drop them and put them down the side. Now when you buy this Motozaaa visor, it comes with 4 bolts that the top smoke screen attaches to, and then underneath it's got this double-sided tape, and it comes with a 3M, so a genuine 3M binding solution. So I'm not necessarily a big fan of using the binding solution because there's tape here and I don't want to have solutions stuck on here, and I would like to have the option of removing this if later on down the line I go to sell the bike. I don't want to have to be cleaning that up, which I think will be a mess to remove. So I'm just going to get a tweezer and remove these and a hairdryer so that I can heat this up to bolt this down instead. Alright, so I've just removed the red backing for this tape. Just going to put it on heat now. I just want to make sure that I'm using these long bolts that they've given from Motozaaa. Now before I started this, I've just got some paper towel stuff there, but I've actually wiped this down with some isopropyl alcohol. So what that does is it makes the mounting surface as good as it possibly can be to mount the sticky tape on. So we're just going to get that right. And it is quite a little stretch, if that's the right word, to get this part on. Now, the driver for the bolts that Motozaaa give you, it requires a 3mm driver to install it. So I'm just going to get that in. Very gently, very slowly. And it is quite a stretch to get this side in. And not sure how I feel about that actually, because it's quite a different Alright, so that's gone in as well. So now that that is down, I can put pressure on this piece and I can hold it there. Now the bolts are down, right? So that's going to hold it down, and the tape is really just like a little bit of additional insurance. But it's not as though the tape is really going to do anything, particularly if you're riding at high speed. That wind is going to make its way underneath there. The problem is that this visor, the factory visor underneath, doesn't actually have a bolt that you can bolt through. So that's why they've made this setup like this. So you want to keep this hand on, and I'll stop the recording now. Once I can feel that it's cool, I'll be letting go. So the next step here is to put in these grey threaded inserts so that your bolts that you put in are going to be able to tighten down. The threaded insert part has to go to the bottom, and this part here is the smoked visor itself. You've got a rubber grommet that I've got a feeling might actually be a little better if I placed it on the bottom side, but I'm not too sure yet. So what I might do is actually just put them on the top side, as you would expect. It's got enough thread there to go through, so I'll just see how that goes and then look at installing the rest. So this part is hard because this part has, you completely cannot see what's going on underneath, because you've got a smoked visor and you're trying to put a bolt through it. So I'll cut the recording. Once I've got those on, I'll show you the finished look. Alright, so I checked out the picture from the Motozaaa listing on eBay where I purchased it from, and sure enough, these washers were on the outside as I thought. So yeah, it went in nice and easy. No installation concerns whatsoever. It's very nice and centrally mounted. Check out what this looks like. Just gives it a much meaner profile. Kind of looks like a haircut that guy would have in Street Fighter for a bit of a joke. But I do actually like the slightly raised look. You can actually get some really huge visors for this bike, which I think just ruins the whole purpose of the bike. And I'm not necessarily buying this for wind deflection purposes. It's a bit of wind deflection, but it's also a bit of making the bike look a lot tougher. And just check out what it looks like from all around. So here's what it looks like from the inside. I'll just turn the key so that you can have a look. Super nice look to it, and yeah, it's certainly going to deflect any wind that comes from it. Now I haven't done that up super tight, but I think I can give it just a little bit tighter after this video. So you can just see through to the screen from the side. Looks super good with the new LED H4 Crystal Vision Philips globes. Super nice. Alright, so let's move to the next part of this video. The next part is the installation of some fin rear mirrors. So these mirrors, I'll have a link, just like always, to where I bought them down below. You can buy them from their website, or you can buy it from their store. And there are a lot of knockoffs of this version on eBay, Amazon, and AliExpress that are not branded and have a lot of imperfections on them. The genuine one to buy is this one here, and as you can see, it comes through faultless. When you actually buy these, they come with a blue tint to the mirror. It's actually very similar to the carbon mirrors I've got on my Lancer Evolution 10. and they come with some mounting points here. So I'll get it all together and let's see how it installs. Okay, so now what I've done is I've pushed this rubber part up here to expose what it looks like underneath. Now when you go to undo these mirrors, you need to remember that there's two parts to them. There's a top part here which is a opposite threaded nut. So basically when you go to remove this, you actually have to do the opposite of what you would normally do. You need to tighten it. So go clockwise to actually undo it. So it does seem a bit different, and unfortunately they make it very difficult for you because the surfaces for this to happen are very thin walled, if that's the right way to describe it. So the spanner itself is very hard to grip on. So in my case, I decided to use a adjustable spanner, and you honestly just have to get it super tight, make sure that there's no slop in it at all, and then once you've done that, you can just do this. So as you can see, I'm turning it as if I would be normally tightening a bolt. Now you need to hold it, make sure you keep it nice and straight so that you don't stuff up the thread both here and in there. And after probably about, I don't know, is that 10 turns or so, you'll then find that the mirror pops off. Okay, so now we're having a look at the fen rear mirrors, and I've just assembled one so you can see what it looks like. But this is the left side of the bike, and the mirror in the box just comes like this. Now you need to install this so that you use this mount. So this mount goes on like so. You'll see here at the end there is a little chamfered edge that you can pop this over. So it essentially sits like that. The next thing you need to do is get the smallest bolt that is in the box, put the spring-loaded washer over it, and then lastly get the presentable black collar and just pop it on the end like that. So then you can actually start putting the bolt in with that spring washer on the end. Now they give you this tiny little Allen key, but it's fine for hand tightening, but you can use your own. So I'm just going to tighten it so that it is, in roughly this kind of view for now. Now I'm only just very lightly tightening it because we'll need to adjust it and all that sort of stuff. So that just goes down onto the bike itself. The way that you bolt it in is that this has a removable cap, so that enables you to put the much larger bolt in to tighten it down, and then you put this cap on top so that this doesn't become all rusted out or no dirt gets in there. Alright guys, so I don't have a 16mm spanner, but my 17mm goes over this lower portion, but yeah, it just feels like it wants to slip. So it's very thin walled here, it's just absolutely rubbish from factory. So what I've done is I've got my adjustable spanner and I've got it as tight as I can go. Now this one is a traditional unlock, and it is it's got some force to it from factory, but it's not impossible. So as you can see, I'm using this tiny little, got no leverage at all, but if you do get stuck and you can't undo it, you can put a bar around the end of this or a ring end spanner and just get some leverage. Okay guys, so I've managed to install both mirrors now, and I'll just go through what I did to try and make it work. So when you go to put mirrors onto this bike, like most bikes, on the right hand side there is a discrepancy between the height of where the mirror would mount in comparison to the left, And that's because what they generally do is they mount this brake master cylinder onto where the controls are, or where the mount is for the mirrors. So this mount here is actually used to hold the brake lever, and on this side, this one is for the clutch. So because this side is a bit higher, I actually dismounted the fender rear mirror directly onto the factory mount. So that was pretty straightforward, and that's the end result. On the left side, I actually ended up retaining the lower part, the lower portion of the factory mount for the factory mirrors. So that means that it was raised up a little bit so that the height comparison between the two is much closer. It's not 100%. This side is just slightly taller, and but it's really hard to notice. And when you have a look at it, you can't really tell. And more so because I actually took this part and painted it just with a black spray can. So I've painted it all around. So here's what the fender rear mirrors look like. I actually quite like that the shape is sort of spanned out. The mirror is spanned out, it points out, but it's still a low profile mirror. Now I'll need to take the bike for a ride and just see how I feel about it. But that's basically what it looks like when you're looking from above. So with the combination of this visor and the mirrors, it gives it just a completely different look, both for the rider and when people see the bike. Come across this side just to show you. So it just goes to show that with some straightforward minimal mods, this bike can look absolutely amazing. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, because I've got plenty more content coming for this bike, and I hope that you have the same feeling as me and feel that, yeah, in this short period of time, the bike is looking pretty super. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.